Hey Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and today I've got my long-term review of the Xpedition X33 hunting bow. Now, Xpedition Archery made some pretty big moves for 2021 with lots of fun technology in their bows, and we'll get to all that in just a little bit, but before we do that, let's start with the specs. Now, this bow carries an axle-to-axle length of 32.5 inches, a brace height of 6.5 inches, and an IBO rated speed of 350 feet per second. The bow also has an MSRP of $1,400. Now, at first glance, this is not a bow that you would think costs $1,400. Those are the price tags typically reserved for carbon fiber bows. But here's where Xpedition made some innovative turns. They have used a proprietary material called Magnite that is wildly light. This bow is actually lighter than most carbon bows I've tested this year, tested ever, and quite frankly, it's easily the lightest bow I've got in my hands this year. Like, it feels noticeably lighter. It's actually infused with carbon fiber, so it's a it's an interesting, innovative way for a bow to lose a lot of weight, and it's a material that has surprised me in a number of ways, which we'll get to in just a little while. Also new this year on the Xpedition X series is the lever cam system, and notably the energy transfer system cable guard. What makes the ETS system unique is that it preloads the cables while still being on a free-floating roller slide. The system actually moves very little on the slide when you draw it, and Xpedition boasts there is as little friction as possible. With all that out of the way, you might be wondering how the X33 actually shoots. And when it comes to draw cycle, I kind of put this at about average for the bows I tested this year. It actually starts off kind of fairly smooth and easy, but the second half of this draw cycle builds and gets quite stiff before you hit the dip into the valley. It's relatively smooth, it's just a little stiff on the back end. And once you get to the wall, you're met with a very solid feel. This uses a limb stop system, so you're going to get a rock solid back wall when you come to full draw. Another bonus with those draw stops is that they are adjustable. That means you can fine-tune your draw length and your let-off and your valley just by moving the draw stop just a fraction in or out, and you can really make a difference when it comes to getting the most comfortable shooting setup that you can. Another bonus with the X33 is the grip. This is a fairly narrow and flat grip, and quite frankly, it's my favorite of any of the ones I shot this year. It absolutely fits my hand perfectly, and it gives me a really stable platform. Once you're at full draw with this bow, I do find it settles down a little bit better with a stabilizer out front. Nothing huge, maybe a 12-inch stabilizer with 3 or 4 ounces of weight on it. And that makes a big difference in in quieting down my shot picture a little bit and helping me shoot a little more accurately. It's not a huge deal, and considering the bow is so light, it's not surprising that it does benefit from a little bit of help with a front stabilizer. So one thing that surprised me with this bow was how it feels after the shot. Normally when I think of super lightweight bows, I kind of think of things that are a little vibration heavy and a little buzzy feeling in the hand. I don't know what Xpedition did, but the X33 remains relatively quiet after the shot. It feels, I would say it feels on par with most kind of flagship level hunting bows that are, maybe a half pound or a full pound heavier than this. So however they did that, I don't know, but I'm glad they did it because it feels, way better than I expected it would. And that lightweight, I got to tell you, is noticeably different. It's so much lighter than anything else I've got in the hand this year. And if you're someone who's a Western hunter or someone who's got to stalk long distances to find a place to shoot, hike miles and miles, those extra ounces really add up, and being able to cut a half a pound or more with the X33 is a real difference maker. When I tested for speed, I set up the X33 with 70 pounds of draw weight and 30 1/4 inches of draw length. I shot a 350 grain arrow, an average of 326 feet per second, and I shot a 477 grain arrow, an average of 283 feet per second. That's plenty quick for any need I'm going to have, but it is a little bit lower than I was expecting due to the Xpedition's 350 feet per second advertised speed. Now, fit and finish is one area where the X33 really shines. When I think of a bow that's 4 pounds, I usually think of something that's going to feel and look a little cheaper, and that is not the case here. The lines on this riser are fantastic. It's absolutely flawless. I've banged this around, I've shot this thing for months now, and it still looks brand new. And realistically, I don't know if there was a better kind of looking bow and better machined riser that I've seen all year. So kudos to Xpedition for building a bow that looks the part of a flagship bow. The bottom line is that if you would like a bow that is insanely lightweight and plenty accurate, head to your local Xpedition dealer and try out the X33 for yourself.